Hey, Brian. Hey, world.
Hey,
Let's do it. We got some fun things to share, and well, we're ready. So here we go. Hello and welcome to Python Bytes, where we deliver Python news and headlines directly to your earbuds. This is episode 432, recorded May 19th, 2025. I'm Michael Kennedy.
and I am Brian Ucken.
And this episode is brought to you by NordLayer, awesome bolt-on security that you can add to all of your dev stations and servers and so on. We're going to tell you more about that later. If you like social media things, you can stay up on a lot of announcements and follow the show. Follow us, Fauceton, Mastodon, Blue Sky. Links at the top of the show notes and in your podcast player. Join us live most days at 10 a.m. Monday Pacific time, just pythonbytes.fm/live. Brian was being a world traveler, so we didn't do it last week, but we're back at it. And our email list is getting better and better. So be sure to sign up as a friend of the show. You'll get cool summaries and extra information to get more out of the episode. Like before, as in pre, not after, Brian.
Yeah, as in pre-commit. So I'd like to cover an article that from Adam Johnson, pre-commit install with UV, and it's just a short little tip, but I didn't know you could do this. So pre-commit normally. I've installed it before, but I can't really remember how to. And Adam brings up that the install guide is maybe not the friendliest, particularly for developers who don't use Python. But also, anyway, wha- I guess pre-commit is used for other stuff too, right? So, but you can use UV. So that's really the article talking about a couple things. Not only just use UV. So you can use UV by saying UV tool install pre-commit, and now you have pre-commit installed for all of your projects in one place. And then, but the recommendation also is to use with pre-commit UV. So this extra thing is this with you is pre-commit UV. It says use UV to create virtual environments and install packages for pre-commit. And also comments that why would you do this? Because it speeds up the initial install, and so the initial thing. And so if you've got it loaded on your local computer, apparently the first run of pre-commit with all of your extras, it'll probably be a little bit slower than later because there's a pre-commit cache that goes on. But for instance, if you're doing like Docker images in your CI system, there might not be a cache there. So the and I might be just talking smoke because there might be a way to get around it with containers anyway. However, if you really want that first initial one to be a little bit faster anyway, so using UV might be a good answer. So anyway, also, so that's actually not why Adam recommends this. He recommends it just because it's an easier install, and it sure is.
Yeah,
You just say
the other thing is you don't even need Python installed for that to work.
that's true. Yep. But UV tool install pre-commit with pre-commit UV, and then you've just got pre-commit working. And yeah, right, you don't even need Python already installed. It'll the UV packaging manager and all that stuff and caching will just work. And I kind of love it. I've been using UV tool for a lot of stuff lately. It's pretty slick. So yeah, I just tried this out this morning. Worked like a charm. Love it.
Yeah, that's super neat. And yeah, UV all the way. I think they're doing great stuff. I actually have a couple of things tangential or directly related to UV as well for the week. So let's get to it. The next thing that I have is kind of like that, but it's not UV. Oh, hold on.
Hold that thought.
Here we go. So this thing is PEP 773 has been accepted by, it's created by Steve Dower, who does a lot of the Windows plus Python work, core developer, but also works at Microsoft. So it is a Python installation manager for Windows. So it's, maybe I'm not quite getting it right when I describe it this way, but to me it feels very much like an official Windows-based UV-like thing, at least for managing the Python side of stuff. Okay. So it's put there as a one manager to rule them all, Pi Manager. So it goes under the colloquial name of Pi Manager, but I believe its official name is something like the Python Manager for Windows type of thing, something like that. And the idea is there's right now multiple ways to get Python onto your computer, and they're unrelated and different. So I could go to python.org and download it, and that would give me a py launcher that I can run and do things. Or I could go to the Windows Store and install it that way, which is another thing. Or I could use WinGet, or I could use NuGet to install it. It's like, okay, great. What do I do? Right? So the idea here is that this is one thing that does all the stuff that those do. You don't have to think about it. You can get it those different ways. So if somebody told you to go to the Windows Store and get Python, you would get Pi Manager as an MSIX, which is the installer runtime for Windows, like the install. It's like a PKG for Mac. So you would get that there, or you could go to python.org and download it, and you would get the same thing, and the other ways you get it. So it's kind of a similar way to get Python that's consistent across all of them. And what's cool about it is it's super easy to use. So if you just type the word Python, it will launch the best, in quotes, the best Python runtime that either is already there, or like, here's where the UV stuff comes in, or it'll auto install the latest version of CPython if it's not there. So at first it's kind of like a shell of Python, and they used to have that. And I think it said something like, I don't know if you remember this, Brian, but in Windows, in the early days, it used to say, you don't have Python, go install Python. If you type the word Python, you're like, great. Could you help me out, or just, okay, I'll just go do that, I guess. So what this one now does, it says, okay, great. Like UV virtual environment or UV tool, if you don't have Python, it just says, great, we'll get the latest one and we'll run that. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I thought there was, for a while, there was like if you type Python, it'll like open a window to say, hey, do you want to install this? And if you said okay, it would take you to the store or something like that.
Yeah, maybe that's right. It would take you to the store, wouldn't it? Yeah. Sometimes
like
it just, I don't know. There were some funky ways. So it has, I believe PY is still there, but it's going to have the same subcommands as well, and so on. So like install, uninstall, list, run. And one thing that's kind of nice is you can also get Python 3 commands in Windows if you just add something in your path. Because traditionally, I believe, it's been a while since I've played with it like in real detail, but I think it used to be you had to type Python only, like only Python to work. And Python 3 didn't work on Windows, but on Mac and Linux, only Python 3 worked. Not Python by default. You know what I mean? It's like, why are they different? And so this also brings a little bit of unifying there.
Okay, just in time for nobody to use Python 2.
Yes, exactly. Yes, okay. Yeah, maybe they're like, well, at least we should be consistent, but I'm here for it. Like, I'd be fine to cancel Python 3 as a command. Just go. Yeah. You have to say Python 2 if you want Python 2. Yeah. Don't make the thing you should be doing harder than the thing you shouldn't be doing. Anyway, this should be mainstream by Python 3.15, and the traditional installers will disappear in 3.16, like 2027. So it's not a huge change right away, but I believe, what does it say? I believe it says to the top, where will this, this is just a standard, right? It's not one of those things that's in a version of Python. So soon.
Yeah. 2 years, be here before you know it.
Yes, it absolutely will.
Well,
before we move on,
I'd like to thank NordLayer for sponsoring this episode. NordLayer is a toggle-ready network security platform built for modern businesses. It combines VPN, access control, and threat protection in one easy-to-use platform. There's no hardware and no complex setup, just secure connections and full control in less than 10 minutes. It's easy to start with quick deploy, step-by-step onboarding, and 24/7 support. It's easy to combine, works with existing setups and all major platforms. And NordLayer is easy to scale, add users, features, or servers in a few clicks. SSO and provisioning included. NordLayer provides zero trust network access based solutions, adds threat protection to keep malware, ransomware, and phishing from reaching your endpoints, increases your threat intelligence to spot threats before they escalate, and helps businesses achieve compliance. So, if you are responsible for the security of your software or data science team, you should definitely give NordLayer a look. As Python Bytes listeners, you'll get an exclusive offer up to 22% off NordLayer yearly plans plus 10% on top with the coupon. Just use code pythonbytes-10. Try NordLayer risk-free with their 14-day money-back guarantee. Visit pythonbytes.fm/NordLayer to get started. Again, that's pythonbytes.fm/NordLayer. The link is in your podcast player's show notes. Thank you to NordLayer for sponsoring Python Bytes.
Indeed, indeed. Now, I'm up next. So this news broke last week, but like I said, we weren't recording last week, so I'm gonna announce it this week. Maybe you've heard it by now, but unfortunately, it's very sad to me to hear this, but unfortunately, Textualize, the company behind Rich and Textual, founded by Will McGugan, is shutting down. So, it's better to try something and fail than not try at all, right? So some of the quotes from Will's post announcing this is bittersweet news. The business experiment ends, but the code lives on. Obviously, it's super popular, right? And if we go to GitHub somewhere, what are we looking at for stars? Yeah, 28,000 stars, super, super popular. But as a business, it's no longer a thing. So Will says, it began as a hobby project layered on top of Rich, but it grew into something that looked impossible to do with terminals, and yet somehow it does it. So despite the success, the team couldn't pinpoint a single pain point big enough to sustain a business model. So the company is winding down probably about now. It said in a couple weeks, but that was a few weeks ago. The projects themselves aren't going anywhere. They're stable, battle tested, and will continue. So I want to say thank you to Will and everyone on the team for this. It's a big contribution to the community. And is it here? Let's see. Oh, I don't even see a sponsor. A sponsor option. Will, put a sponsor option for us here so we can recommend people go and sponsor the projects. But yeah, at a minimum, help them keep it going strong.
No, I love what Will has done with Rich and Textual, and we're all rooting for Textualize. And it's not going to stay a company anymore. But I think having it be a company while it was made Textual into something like super cool. They were able to focus on it and make it awesome. So I appreciate everybody's work on that.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Over to you, Brian.
All right. Well, let's see. I'd like to. I heard about this a few weeks ago. Actually, I think also here's an article. Let's see, updated in April. So yeah, month ago. It's an article by, I had the name, Matthias Endler, the best programmers I know, and it's an interesting idea for an article. He was just saying, I have met a lot of developers in my life. Lately, I've asked myself, what does it take to be one of the best? What do they all have in common? And I kind of love this, and I like the list. I encourage you to go and read this article. We've got a link in the show notes, but I'm going to jump around and read some of the topics. So read the reference. If there's one thing that I should have done as a young programmer, it would have been read the reference. And like the Python standard library, I admit I have not read all of the standard library, TOML spec, things like that. I would add to this that if you're going to do something new, jump down into beginner mode and just read a beginner reference on something. Like even if you're an expert Flask developer and you want to switch to Fast API, go ahead and read the beginning tutorial and walk through the beginning tutorial for Fast API. Things like that are helpful. All right. I'll go a little faster. The topics. So read the reference, know your tools really well, read the error message. Getting good at reading error messages is totally a good skill. Break down problems. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Always help others. Write. So blogging, talks, open source. Those help you get better. Never stop learning. Status doesn't matter. Build a reputation. Have patience. Never blame the computer. Don't be afraid to say I don't know. Very important. Don't BS to people. That's AI's job. If somebody comes to you, give them what you know. Don't guess. Keep it simple, and that's it. So, really great commentary on each of these. I love having this all put together as some good advice for software developers. So,
Yeah, it's easy to forget, right? It's also easy to not really know and just wondering how are they so productive? How do they know how that is implemented or how that works internally in Python? Like, well, they read
yeah,
it. You know what I mean?
the status one is important. I think. Don't assume that if you're just because you're. I mean, there's so much complicated stuff in software that it really doesn't take long of focusing on something to become really one of the better people that understand how to use something,
Yeah.
especially within your company. So even if you're a junior developer, you might be the expert in tool X or something like that. And if you've got a company that's okay with it, and hopefully you do, that's okay with people getting advice from all layers, run with that. So yeah, some great advice.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, that's it for our main item, Brian. So let's talk about a little bit of security.
Okay.
So how do you access your server if you're running in the cloud in some sort of hosting, maybe even a home lab, but you somehow for some reason have it accessible to the internet, things like that? SSH, right? That's almost universally. Sometimes with Windows you might be doing remote desktop, but probably SSH. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say at least 80% of the stuff out there is managed that way. Yeah, look at this little quick answer. How many SSH attacks can a public Linux server expect per second? 2. 2 attacks per second.
That's crazy.
No, sorry. I multiplied it wrong. Every 2 seconds. So that's like 30,000 attempts to hack your SSH. And the reason, why do I bring this up? This is one of my extras. I've been listening to some security podcasts lately, and they're like, oh my gosh, there's like, people are coming up with all these crazy schemes to try to block their SSH. Like, well, I know that I have like my business and my local house IP addresses are pretty stable. They're not static, but they're pretty stable. So I'm going to just set up a rule to only allow access from those two. You know? What if the power goes out and like the thing resets around, I mean, that's super dangerous. You might never, ever get back to there. Other advice is, well, like, go into, I mean, I don't even know how you do it. Go into the server and just shut it off, but then like use some admin tool, like an admin console, or maybe even go in and just turn off the thing. So anyway, I have a much better suggestion, I think, for folks. Almost everybody's hosting comes with what's called a cloud firewall. You just log in from anywhere in the world using your 2FA, and you have access to the dashboard for your cloud setup, right? There's console.aws.com. There's console.hetzner.com and so on. And so just go in there and you can just restrict access to your SSH to your current IP address. And if for some reason your IP address changes or you're in a coffee shop and you want to get access, just log in real quick and enter that IP address. Chances are if you go back to that coffee shop again, it's still got the same IP address. You only got to do it once. It's super low effort, and your attacks go from 30,000 a day to 0 because those are coming from all over the world. They're not coming, from within the house, right? They're not coming from your machine, like back, like it'd be too late, right? It's just to prevent the public stuff. So embrace cloud firewalls, folks. That's all I want to say.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Next, this was last week, right? But caveats where it said Python Beta 1 is here, 3.14 Beta 1. It is time for some beta pie. Tasty. So Python 3.41, come on. So people can check this out. This is the preview of the first stable version. I guess it really is just the first stable version of Python 3.14, which is cool.
Okay.
So check it out.
Can't believe we're already here again.
Yeah,
Nice.
I know. Here we are. Also want to say there's a new batch of Python Software Foundation Fellows. And I think there's like 10 folks or so in here.
Charlie Marsh. Woohoo.
Charlie Marsh. Yeah, obviously, like he's been doing session
Frank
work.
Wiles. Cool.
Yeah, a lot of cool folks. Ivy, Fung, and other folks. I don't want to read off everyone's name, but congrats to everyone in there. That's super cool.
Nice.
Not super cool. Post from Mike Drop Booms. Speaking on behalf or for many, many people here, he is, but it says, I'll just read you a little bit of it, Brian. It's been a tough couple of days. Microsoft's support for the faster Python project has been canceled yesterday as of 4 days ago. My heart goes out to the majority of the team who was laid off. I mean, it's actually a lot of people. If you look at the picture, presuming that all those people there are on the faster Python team. I'm not entirely sure they are. But I know that included Guido, Mike, and some other folks. It's not great, right? I can't remember where I read it. There's some conversations, but someone said, look, it's pretty short-sighted to bet the company on AI as Microsoft is, and at the same time, fire the team making the dominant language for that technology better. You know,
It's just
you
nuts.
gotta maximize shareholder value, Brian. But like, I don't know, 10 people or something. How big of a deal is that on the scale of Microsoft?
Exactly.
Whatever. So that's that. And then also Brett Cannon says there were layoffs yesterday and 3 Python core devs from the faster Python team were caught in them. If you know any jobs, please send them their way to help them keep going strong. You know what I mean? So I linked to that as well.
These are some insane people. You really can't find something else for these people to work on.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Back to better news. So I just released, as in during this episode, push the go public button for something that was formerly known as Red Knot, but is now known as TY. This is Astral's new type checker, equivalent of MyPy, but also maybe even more important than that is a runtime language server that handles very large code bases and is more lenient than Pylance and others.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Another thing that's super interesting, the VS Code team, I don't think unreasonably, but I think they're starting to crack down on allowing a lot of these forks of VS Code access to some of the underlying infrastructure that are extensions, right? Like, for example, Pylance, the runtime things, and other tooling. A lot of the extensions that Microsoft makes aren't available to, say, Cursor or Windsurf or the 150,000 other free ones. So this might be an even better high-performance replacement of things like the language server for the vibe coding platforms as well. Anyway, it's a super cool interview with Carl Meyer and Charlie Marsh, and people should check that out.
That's nice. Well, so what's TY? Is that just because it's easy to type, or is it
Type? I think it's for type.
type? Oh.
Yeah.
I think of it as like thank you for doing
Yeah,
this.
we made a lot of jokes about that during the show. Everyone says thank you to the Astral folks for making it better every time they run it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that episode is literally hot off the presses. Check it out.
Cool. Can't wait.
And something I've been doing that's pretty fun, Brian, is I've been doing, I'm working on making a bunch of shorts like TikToks and YouTube shorts and stuff from the Talk Python episodes. So I'm going to play like a 15-second video. I think people are going to enjoy this. This is not exactly the joke, but it's kind of like the joke. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess if you use Postgres, you could just put it in a JSON field as well. Something like that.
Oh yeah. We call that mullet schema, right? It's business up front and party in back, where the last column on every table is a JSON field.
I've never heard that. That's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, we look real formal, but don't look back there. Got it in the ponytail today.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's
Isn't that
fun.
amazing? Yeah. Anyway, so people should check out the channel. Obviously, I'm doing some fun stuff there. All right, that's it for my extras. Maybe let me check. Yes, that's it for my extras. So I just got the joke left. How about your extras? Any?
Just a quick one. I wanted to. I pulled up a screen. Let's see, picture of Munich. Just wanted to mention the reason why we mentioned this at the beginning of the show, but the reason why we didn't do it last week is I was in Munich, but I had a great time. It was a work trip. I was there to perform a talk or present a talk at an internal conference. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is not just to humble brag that I was in Munich, but it was fun. Anyway, it was that I think it's just a really cool idea. I was there for an internal company conference, and I think this is an awesome idea just to allow. We didn't have everybody over there, but everybody could submit talks, and if you got your talk accepted, you go, of course. But it was like a two-day event with like three or four tracks, and just like a normal conference. We had talks and everything, and it was great. Everybody self-selected what they got to go to, and the what I really loved about this was it's difficult to get in within a company all the people that care about something together. And this allowed people to self-select into what they care about. And so I had people coming up to me from different divisions that we would have never interacted with before, working on similar problems that allow us to work together. And I think it's definitely worthwhile for a company to actually reduce costs by spending a little to bring people together to talk about similar things. Anyway, that's just my plug. And then the other thing was flying back. Couldn't sleep on the plane, so I had a ton of time to do something, and I got started on a first draft for the second book I'd like to write. So
I love it how just stepping away just a little bit sometimes will be like, all right, that's it. I'm working on this project. So, it just gives you like that little bit of space from all the day-to-day. That's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was good. All right.
Great. And if you look at that picture just to the left of that castle church thing, I've had a really nice beer brewery brauhaus evening one night over there in Munich. It's a fun place.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Are we ready for jokes?
We are.
As a person who is known to be good with computers, sometimes you get dragged into tech support, even though I don't know about you, I'm not especially good at tech support, and I don't necessarily desire to make that skill better. I present you the quick and handy manual on how to fix your computer. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's see. I can't zoom any more than that. Okay. So it gives you three options. Do you have Windows? Do you have a Mac? Or do you have Linux? So option one, it says, Windows, step one, reboot. Did that fix it? No? Well, then proceed to the next step. All right, next step is format hard drive, reinstall Windows, lose all your files, quietly weep. Okay?
Okay.
See if I can make this bigger. There we go. The Apple one. Step one, take it to the Apple store. Did that fix it? No? Proceed to step two. Step two is buy a new Mac, overdraw your account, quietly weep. Okay, well,
yeah.
Linux is more DIY, so let's see about that one. This is step one. Learn to code in C. Recompile the kernel. Build your own microprocessor out of spare silicon you have laying around. Recompile the kernel again. Switch distros. Recompile the kernel again, but this time using a CPU powered by refracted light from Saturn. Grow a giant beard. Blame Sun Microsystems. Turn your bedroom into a server closet and spend 10 years falling asleep to the sound of whirring fans. Switch distros again. Abandon all hygiene. Write a regular expression that would make other programmers cry blood. Learn to code in Java. Recompile the kernel again, but this time wearing your lucky socks. Did that fix it? No. Proceed to step two. Revert back to using Windows or Mac and quietly weep. What do you think?
Yeah. Plus, it's 10 years later, so the Macs are going to be zipping by then. So
they definitely will. Well,
Yeah.
if anyone needs to do tech support for their family, I present the manual, step-by-step guide, step 1 and step 2.
Yeah. It's funny.
Definitely. All right. Well, happy to have you back stateside, even though you had a good trip to Germany, and we'll see everyone next week, huh?
Good to be back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye all.